All right. This is the interview of Dr. Nadej Darbus as a culturally responsive classroom in a special education classroom in a Zoom and virtual setting on January the 25th, 2026 at 10:39 a.m. You may begin, Doc.
My name is Nadej Darbus. I am currently a special education teacher. And you are?
My name is Michelle Morningstar, and I am a language art teacher. I am also a cyber teacher. I teach 7th through 12th grade English at a cyber program in York City. So, Dr. Darbus, we're going to go over these questions here, but we're going to do it in what we refer to as the RACES format, which is we recite the question, we answer it, we cite evidence from our history, we provide the explanation of what that's all about, and then we summarize it. And then our students will be able to understand the concept of how to answer professional interview questions in a way that is complete and will assist them as they are doing that. So I'm going to let you take the lead. Okay?
Absolutely. So once again, I'm going to restate my name. My name is Dr. Nadej Darbus. I am a special education teacher. Formerly, I taught at William Penn High School, and now I am currently a teacher at Cyber Virtual High School. My career path is pretty diverse. I have a bachelor's degree in science. I have a master's in science, and I currently hold a doctorate in educational leadership. Can you tell us a little bit about your career path? Can you share that with us?
I actually can. I'm going to look at your education here. You have a BS in science. I have a BA in liberal arts. You have an MS in science. I have a MAED in education. You also have you have a PhD. I do not. I am going to be working on that maybe in the future, but not at this time. Kind of curious about your path there. What made you decide to go for science of all things?
Well, I was a science major. I was a biology major with the intent of going to medical school. So therefore, I have a strong background in sciences. I met all the requirements and then decided to veer off into human services and then from there into education. And what about you? What is your career path? What you do education?
I actually have a education from the time that I was able to decide what I wanted to do. Probably around 5th or 6th grade, I decided I wanted to be a teacher. And what I ended up doing was taking on those lovely things where we make our pets and our friends. And I didn't have any siblings, so most of the time it was pets and friends that would be willing to let me teach them. And I always loved teaching reading, so I would always be reading something or that kind of thing. When I got to high school, I got to be in the career internship program that allowed me to try out teaching in a first grade classroom, and I fell in love, and I've never looked back. I always wanted elementary school, but life has other plans sometimes. So I took different programs and fell in love with psychology. Then that's very close to education. It kind of moved in the direction of wanting to teach. And I started out as special education myself. As I said, life has other plans. So I went back to get my bachelor's degree in liberal arts. I had enough credits to apply for a master's program in education. Went and got my master's of education in curriculum instruction. I actually liked the lesson planning part. So when we collaborated a few minutes ago and I helped you plan your lesson plan, that's the plan that I would have done if I was the one teaching the class. So I always love that part. And I'm not afraid to use AI either because, technology, we either live with it or we get left behind by it. But then I decided to get a second master's degree and I started my student teaching in special education, no mind you. And life had other plans. It brought me a beautiful 16-year-old little girl 16 years ago. So I switched over to my second love, which was ELA, got my certificate in 712, did my student teaching in the district that hired me when I was 6 months pregnant, which not many districts will do that. And then I went back as a sub to hire until 2021 when I retired in my current position. So I've been around in education as long as I was pretty much able to think that I wanted to be a teacher. I'm currently attending Point Park University right now for my special ed license. I will start my student teaching in the fall, hopefully with the lovely Dr. Darbus, who is so wonderfully kind to do this interview with us today, and also to allow us to try out different things. Because I am virtual, my student teaching will be different from the rest of my classmates in that I will do it virtually. So I'm really excited about that part. But I want to know a little bit more about your foray into human services, because I have a feeling that that is going to define how you look at culturally responsive teaching. Am I correct in that?
That is part of it. And to share a little background of mine, continue, like you said, helping you with this journey, with you transitioning over to special education, which is what I'm helping you do today, part of it anyway. I started off I've always been interested in science. I have a high background in science. I've always done well. It comes to me fairly easy. I enjoy it. And of course, my high school teachers always thought I would be better. It would be a great suit for me to be in medicine or practicing law. It was one or the other. So when I went to high school, when I finished high school, went to college, I was young. I mean, young, really young. I was 16 and a half when I entered. So showing up at a university, 16 years old, and everybody seemed to have a focus. Everybody know what they're doing. This is a foreign thing to me. And this is something I keep in mind for our students. When they graduate, we assume that they know what they're going to do. They've been pretty much, for lack of a better term, sheltered for 12 years. That someone has placed them in this class, that class. There was no thinking about it. They did the work. They got a passing grade. They moved on. When you transition to college, when you attend university, you show up. The only thing you get is, can I help you? Everyone is expecting you to know exactly what department you need to go to. What do you want to study? How do you study? There is no one sitting with you saying, hey, I'm going to evaluate you and put you in this grade because you've already sent your transcript. They already know where you stand. So you're on your own. It's a big change from high school to college. So when I went there, of course, my major was actually anatomy and physiology. It was biology. Loved it. It was no issue. I could do this with my eyes closed. But as I went along, I realized that there's a lot of inequity in science also. The way it is written, the marginalized people are not really represented in a positive way, even in medicine. So I had questions, and I spoke to one of my professors that was my high school chairperson, and we always kept in touch. And he was like, well, I think you should stick to it. You'll be great at it. As we talk and talk, as the time, when I'm thinking about, I don't know if I want to do this. I'm not happy with what I'm reading. I'm not happy with this. He was like, well, what's your other passion? And I said, law enforcement. And I went into law enforcement. I actually graduated and went into law enforcement. When I got there, if I thought people were marginalized in medicine, wait till you take a look at law. It's worse. It is by far worse. It's like, wait a minute. I went from what's the saying? I went from the pen to the fire. Is that it? So that's how it felt. And of course, I had that person as my mentor in my corner. And one day we were talking, he was like, I have a position here. What you come and interview for? I was like, no, I'm not interested in teaching. He was like, well, okay, let's see. I came in, I co-taught a lesson with a teacher. I'll never forget her. She said to me, give me 1 minute. I want you hired. I was like, no, I'm just doing this. She said, give me a minute, okay? Let mama do her work. That was the quote. And I said, okay. I sat in the classroom, and I don't know what she told them. At 3 o'clock, I was told to come back to the principal's office, and he said, if you want a job here teaching, it's yours. That's how I got into teaching. I was like, what? He says, if you want. He said, she was so impressed with your classroom management, the way you interact with these children, and I had their attention. Pretty much what I'm doing with you, helping you, Michelle. When I came in, I told them about me. You have to understand, I was extremely young. These kids were probably maybe 5 years, 5 to 10, maybe 5 to 8 years younger than I was. So when they saw me and we talked about all the obstacles they're facing, I didn't shun them. It wasn't like, oh my God, you're discussing. It was like, really, this is happening? Okay. Because I have a background in social work as well, which human services. So I'm listening to them. and we're talking, and I was doing what I'm doing with you right now, being myself. There was nothing, it was their kids, they're human beings. And they were known to intimidate people. They enjoyed it. They told me this later on. They became my homeroom. And the teachers shunned them and was like, oh, I don't want to deal with these kids. They were constantly complaining about them. The kids did do things to intimidate. They told me at the end that they did this on purpose. They wanted to test people and see, do you really want to work with us, or are you here to collect a paycheck? And that's a quote from them. So when he said to me, he said, well, go home and think about this. I said, okay, I came in just to volunteer for the day, but here I am. So a week went by, and I still in law enforcement. I went out, something happened that I saw, and I see how quickly things can go from worse to even really, what's the word? A lot of people though in law enforcement, when they show up to a situation, they escalate as opposed to de-escalate, simply because they don't care for the people they're serving. They don't have a background. So what they do is they come in and they literally throw a stick of dynamite into the situation and call it a day. And then wrap whatever up. After they create the disaster, they pick up whatever body part they could and move on with it. And it's a job well done. So I was like, wow, is this really? And then the so-called having each other's back. Yeah, okay. That too is questionable. And also being a female in that department where we're few, we are still fewer than men. They don't always look at you as something as a partnership, more like, oh God, I have to babysit this one. It's like, wait a minute, you're just as qualified as I am. So what makes you think you're going to babysit me? But that's their attitude.
Wow.
Okay. Right.
So,
And with that, go ahead. With
wow.
that attitude, a lot of the time you couldn't really be a full partner with someone who doesn't really respect your ability.
That's actually really
That's
important that you
it.
just said that about
Babysitting him.
respecting
You
someone
working
because they're
collaboratively.
different. You just made a very good statement, and I'd like to pull that out.
So,
I'd
and
like to
being a
pull that
woman,
apart. I'd like to pull that apart a little bit. You said about not respecting someone because you couldn't feel that you were a full partner. Did that happen in education?
sure. You're not like everybody else. None of us are. Don't you feel that way yourself about the way you're treated in education?
I did. I
You do
asked
or you
you
don't?
if yeah, the combination between, you're just not seen as a full partner in law enforcement, does that happen in education as well?
Yes, it does. I mean, I'm asking you as well. Do you agree with my statement or not that there is not an equal share of respect in our current field?
There is a very big lack of respect in our current field. And that's one of the reasons that they're pushing toward this culturally responsive, because a lot of times the respect comes from the diverse culture. It's not that the field doesn't respect it, that teachers have difficulty respecting various diverse cultures. They don't know how to interact with each other. They don't know how to get the kids to understand that they are somebody. They don't have the champions. They don't have, there's that lack of cohesion that exists across the boards. And that respect is so permeated in education for our students and for our staff.
And Michelle, this is what I asked you. This is the question I'm asking you, the same question you're asking me. What I see as a teacher as well is the fact that it's the same thing. You have a group of people that are teaching because it's a job to do. They come in an environment that they're not familiar with. They don't want to learn about because they don't value the children in front of them. And also they come in with an attitude. So, well, I'm coming into the quote unquote the ghetto. So therefore, kids behave this way, this way, this way. And in their mind, they already checked the box. These kids cannot learn. They make assumption about them. And a lot of them are scared of the kids as well. Okay.
That's a
And
big piece of
anytime,
it.
excuse me, what did you say, Michelle?
I said that's a big piece of it.
Okay, they were afraid of the kids. If a child says, I'm feeling tired, they call security on them because he put his head down, as opposed to going up to the child and says, what's wrong with you? Are you okay? Showing some compassion. He's been disruptive. Get security. And it's like, security for what? The kids will say, security for what? I didn't feel well. I put my head down. Because of that, or they're like, they might just be like, they flag you. They need security to be escorted, which escalated. Here I go again with that term. De-escalation, they escalate. You have teachers that escalate, that provoke. And then they go, oh my God, he's violent. But you provoked him. You brought on
Absolutely.
security. You brought on high alert. The child is tired dealing with whatever they're dealing with. Maybe this weekend, a
Hmm.
relative of theirs got locked up. Worse, a relative could have been physically or may not even be here anymore. And yet
Hmm.
this kid is processing all this over the weekend. They show up for school. They made the effort. They come in, they sit, they put their head down. They
Absolutely.
didn't build rapport with the kid. They cannot go up and say, hey, Johnny, what's going on? Johnny, you never spoke to Johnny before. So when you approach him, he says, leave me alone.
I'm going to redirect that back to the rapport. The biggest piece of the culturally responsive teaching that we talk about and that we're going to talk about as we continue through our interview here is
Yeah.
that rapport, is
Yes.
building those relationships, making sure that the children see themselves as being somebody, those mirrors and windows. And a lot of times you're right. Teachers come into the field, a lot of them do care. A lot of them do want to be helpful. A lot of them do want to see the kids successful. That's I believe it's a gross overstatement to say that they're only there for the paycheck. But I mean, I've seen it.
No, not everybody's there for the paycheck,
Yeah.
Michelle. I never made that statement, but I'm going to say to you too. A lot
Hmm.
of people are there and they're
Hmm.
not open-minded. Maybe that's a better word. They're not
Yeah,
open-minded to growth. So therefore, they come
it's
in
a
with a
big
certain
problem.
mind frame. I'm coming into a bad neighborhood. The children are dangerous. Let me do my 7:45 to 3:15 and get out of here before I am hurt. And the kids know this. So maybe it's not about a paycheck. For some, it is. Let's be real. You know, some of our college just to rack up the money, nothing more.
Hmm.
But they don't take the time to get to know who is Johnny, who is Mary, who is James, because I don't have time. I don't have time. No, you make the time, okay? Not
Hmm.
always is it you have to come in, put a lesson on the board, and just become this computer where, all right, children, we're doing this, and I don't want to hear anything else. You may have to
Hmm.
say, okay, I do have a lesson I want to teach. However, let me know about you. Who are you? Who is Johnny sitting in front of me? Johnny might say to you, don't talk to me. I don't want to be bothered. Okay, that's fine. Johnny may come around. But Mary's like, let me tell you all about me. Learn and share some things about you. Don't share all your life with them, but let them know that yeah, I see you. I respect you. I acknowledge you. I know you're going through things and don't get it twisted. There are consequences for your action, but we shouldn't be reaching for the moment the child disagree with you on whatever level, referral,
Absolutely.
security.
As
That's where
far,
the inequality come in because typically they're done to children of color. Let's call it what it
Mhm.
is. When some other child does it, they're like, all right, I'm going to give you a phone call home. They go from 0 to 100 with the other child. The black and brown children, it's suspension, 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 detention, suspension, detention. Never a
Mhm.
conversation with this child. It's write them up, write them up.
Absolutely.
You're keeping record, you're building record for these kids, and that's all we do. Some people are doing. Teachers who
And
do not write as much referral, you will see typically have a rapport with the children. You might be walking by and say, oh my God, he was really rude to Dr. Darbus. But I know who Mary is. I know she's having a bad day. Mary will be in my room before 3:15 to let me know her behavior. She will call it out. Hey, what I did was wrong today. But if I had
absolutely.
written her up, I'm going to escalate it. She's angry. She's going to stay angry. And now she's got to do detention or maybe suspension. Now I got to deal with a parent who's also angry because Mary was suspended 2 weeks ago by another teacher. And the cycle continues. So I think a lot of people are not aware that they're doing that. And also, Michelle, when people say culturally diverse, it doesn't mean you went to a taco stand a couple weeks ago. It does
No,
not mean, oh yeah, I
no,
went to the Italian restaurant down the block. That's not
let,
being
let,
culturally
let me redirect. For sake of time, Doc, let me redirect back to that question. It does not mean going to a taco stand. It does not mean going to the Hispanic festival down the street. It does not mean any of that kind of thing. And that needs to be addressed right off the bat. Is that
correct.
culturally responsive has absolutely nothing to do with what you do outside the curriculum. It has nothing to do with reading a book about a person. That's part of it,
Correct.
but it's not the whole package. The whole package, and I see you define it as I'm going to let you read that. How do you define culturally responsive teaching?
Well, for me, well, I wrote it down. It's when learning is made more, we take reliable. I couldn't see that. Reliable. Let's say we take about reliable by connecting curriculum to student personal lives. Real world. You understand what you're teaching. You understand how does that relate to the kid? Does it really matter to Johnny? Um, how does algebra connect to him? How does geometry fit into his life? If you can show them, they'll listen because they want to know, what am I doing this for? Not just it's a lesson for you to teach, Michelle. So that's what I mean by you have to make the lesson relatable to the child and their environment. And you have to be able to switch environment, Michelle. This week you might be teaching in an all ESL class. Okay, you're teaching science in the ESL class. That cultural respect, and that's a key word there, respect. When people come in front of you, they're human beings, respect them, understand their culture. Maybe not making eye contact is offensive to you, but it's culturally offensive for them to make eye contact to people who are in authoritative position. They see a teacher as someone of authority. They're not going to make eye contact with you. Don't assume he's lying because your culture state, someone doesn't look at you in the eye, they're lying. No, it's showing respect. Okay? He doesn't need to be referred to special ed either because he sits in a corner and doesn't speak. He's not comfortable because in his culture, you do the talking, he does the listening. So he's still engaged, he's processing. But let's make a stop and think before you write the referral. I think Johnny needs to be seen by the school psychologist. For what? Think about what you're doing before you go and find out. Find out about Johnny's culture who sits in front of you. Find out why does he do what he does. Okay.
And and I also want to piggyback that by asking this question. Is you mentioned that, finding out about the kid's culture. That doesn't mean, what does that actually mean?
Finding out about their culture, knowing the basic, for example. So, I mean, you're not going to be able as a teacher, truly, Michelle, in real time, be able to know each and every one of their cultures in detail, but get to know, for example, Asian children don't hug. It's not a hugging culture. They don't hug, they bow. They don't make contact like that, they bow. So if you reach out to give them a hug, they pull back, they might shove you because that's not what they do. Other culture, they do hug. Other culture, kiss on the cheek. Everybody greets everybody. The Latin culture, the Italian culture, it's all touchy, kissing and all that. Other cultures, it's kind of standoff. Other culture, it's good morning. American culture, high five, right? You need to respect that space. You cannot go up and hug everybody because not everybody will respond to it. And in the school environment, you really have to get to know that kid before you invite a hug or let them initiate a hug.
Mm-hmm.
For some kids, hugging is something brand new in this culture. They're like, what's a hug? What do you mean you're hugging me? Why are you touching me? So that's what I mean by knowing little basic things you need to know. Like, when you reprimand a kid, do you reprimand them in the middle of the classroom? How would that child react? Is that child going to go running out of the classroom screaming? Is it better to do one-on-one? Every child is different. Every culture is different. But better yet, Michelle, know the individual child in front of you. Know something about them. Now, you don't need to know a lot.
Absolutely, 100% agree with you on that. 100% agree with you on that. And I think your cultural experiences have probably influenced your ideas of how to be culturally respectful to others. Is that correct?
I'll say that again. I didn't catch that.
I said, and I think your cultural experiences have probably influenced your ideas on how to be culturally respectful for others. Is that correct?
Well, being multicultural myself, it helps a lot. When I come in, I know we use this phrase, oh, people are people. Actually, yes and no. Yes, we have the fundamental needs and everything else, but no, cultures are very different. And what is culturally responsive teaching look like to you, Miss Morningstar?
Well, Doc, to be quite honest with you, culturally responsive teaching looks identical to what you were just said. Know the kid, know your audience, know what you're dealing with. I've worked in multiple districts, most of them urban, in multiple states. And I can tell you that kids are pretty much kids. They just want to be respected. They just want to be accepted. They just want to be treated as equals. They can't be treated as equals because they're not quite at the level that teachers are. And equal is not really the word, but equitable is the word that I was looking to say. They want to be treated equitably. They want to be treated like people. They want to be treated like human. They want to be seen. They want to be felt, to understand that we get them. They want that relationship. Some of them are going to tell you no and call you every name under the book. But when you actually dig under that, you'll find out why. It's that they've been hurt. They've been disrespected so many times, they don't trust anybody anymore. And that's a huge piece of it. And being culturally responsive is also recognizing that there's that trauma that's been built. There's that reinforcement that's been negative. There's that, oh, they don't care about me. Oh, I'm just going to sit in the back of the classroom and avoid everybody because I can't do this. And the last time I opened my mouth, somebody jumped on me about that I was stupid or that I didn't know what I was talking about, or my family believes that children should be seen, not heard. I'm
That's
from a
another part of
marginal
culture.
cultural. I'm from a marginal culture. I'm from a disrespected, historically disrespected culture, or I'm oppressed. I'm a refugee. I'm coming from another country where I'm
Exactly.
just coming to find my way, and I'm getting hit across the board with that. I
Right.
mean, there's so much that goes into that little person sitting in front of you. And I say little person from babies up to high school because at the
Right.
end of the day, they're still kids. They're still kids.
Yes.
The
And you know what?
16-year-old staring you down is the same little kid who's hiding in the corner.
Well, you know what? The bottom line is to summarize this part about defining culture and responsive teaching. It's to provide to close this part of the question out. It's to provide equity and equality because they're two separate things, and that's all they're looking for. What you do for one, you do for the other. But however, while you're providing equity and equality, just remember what is equity for one is not for the other. So within equity, you have to use differentiation. Let's put it that way. You do. You have to understand I'm providing equity. Everybody has a book, but this child, Michelle has a book, Mary has a book, Charlie has a book. Charlie may need um, larger text so he can read the book that you gave him. Mary may need translation to be read to. The next person may be able to need the book, that passage you give, to be read to. So they need headphones. So you're providing equity. Everybody has a book and everybody has the equipment needed to be successful. That's equality because everybody has the item you need for the lesson, but that you need to go the extra mile and find out, does this kid have an IEP? Does he need modification? And that's what you provide. Does he have something, issue with hearing? Okay. Color. You may have to put a different color screen on his paper to make sure we can follow through because certain color may make him a little bit more agitated,
Mhm.
okay? Versus
Absolutely.
somebody else. And then this one here in the same classroom needs nothing. You say go, they go. But that's perfect. That's where the differentiation comes into your lesson, comes into your method of teaching, and the equipment you're handing out.
Absolutely. 100% agree with you on that, especially with saying that it's equitable. And equitable does not mean equal. Equal means that we all get the same. Equitable means we all get what we need. And I think that
That's
that's a big, huge piece of the culturally responsive classroom is that we
yes.
all give the students what we need. So I'm
And
going to
it's all
turn it
that.
back. I'm going to turn it back to you again. And
Okay.
I see your answer is my guiding principle is self-reflection. First, an educator must understand their own cultural and potential biases. Yes. Hey, we have the same idea. Before they can validate others, offering choices in learning, utilizing flexible, accessible, and responsive spaces, and fostering student ownership, focusing on reinforcing desirable behaviors rather than solely punishing negative ones. Okay, that sounds wonderful as a definition, but how does it apply to online learning?
Well, teachers should always be self-reflecting. You should always take the time. I know we don't always have it on your drive home or whatever. Take the time to reflect on how did the lesson go today? Did it go the way you planned it? Because you know what? Having a lesson plan is wonderful. It checks all the boxes. But did you reach your targeted audience? Okay.
Ooh,
Did you reach your targeted audience? I can have a lesson plan, Michelle. It looks great. If the state came in, they will check. Kudos, kudos. I'll get distinguished. But did I meet the crowd? Did I reach each and every one of my students? If I call on Mary and say, Mary, what did you learn today? And she goes, I have no idea. Well, I didn't reach her. Or if John can tell me everything I said verbatimly, hey, Jesse, what did you learn? Man, I don't know. I don't know what you were talking about. What were you talking about? So we need to reflect. If that happens in your situation, you go, okay, so I didn't reach my targeted audience. So you may have to go in and reteach that same lesson using differentiated instruction, using a different methodology to assure that every single one understand what you just taught. So that's why the reflection piece come in. And I know people say, oh, I don't have time. Yeah, you do. You have 5 minutes during your lunch. You have 5 minutes while you drive home. You have 5 minutes while you do your laundry on the weekend and say, man, that lesson I planned did go as I planned, and I want to know what I did wrong. Hey, Michelle, I'm known to go back and ask my student, how did I do? I'm not joking. They're like, you want the truth? I'm like, yes. Tell me how I did. I'm a big girl. I can take it. They might say, your lesson suck. Why does it suck? Well, I'm not interested in what you were teaching. Okay, what would you like me to educate you on? Okay, because you already said this isn't compared to you, but hey, John My Baby says, I loved it. It's everything that I always wanted to learn.
So here's
And
the
I,
thing about that. And
what?
you hit the nail on the head when you said that about I'm not interested in this. One of the things that we're learning in this class that I'm currently interviewing you for is that, hey, it's okay to pull pull the books off the shelves and go, here's a book about something really interesting you might be interested in. They call it
Yes.
student-led instruction. They call it student responsive instruction. And with canned curriculum, as you know that we teach, a lot of times it's difficult to pull in those other resources, but it's necessary. It doesn't have to be for a grade, but it's nothing wrong with teaching our kids about the great leaders that have graced this earth, their writings that they don't really get to see a lot of the time that we want them to. For instance, my entire lesson Monday, tomorrow, was to be recognizing the fact that we're moving into African American History Month. And I don't believe in African American History Month. I believe it needs to be infused all the time. I believe that if we're reading a story by Clive Barker, it should also be influenced by the wonderful and fabulous African Americans that created the horror genre, like such as Octavia Butler. Or if we're teaching Shakespeare, I think we should also be teaching works by um, the Buford series. Or if we're teaching Edgar Allan Poe, I think we should be including Nicole Gained. I think there should be so much stuff out there. Maya Angelou should be patterned with the fabulous work of Sonia Sotomayor. So, I mean, there needs to be infusion. If I have students who are of Latina culture, I want them to know who the writers of their culture were. If I have students of African American or ethnocentric culture, I want them to know who the writers of their culture were. I want them to know that there's more than just the canned stuff that we're being given. And I celebrate African American History Month, and I do that because I think that people deserve to be celebrated. And for every day in the month of February, I will showcase a pretty awesome person. But I also do it throughout the year to make sure that they get to see people that are like them, that are that look like them, that match the mirrors and the windows that they see in society. When I taught in a regular classroom, I made sure to include community members. And as a cyber teacher, I can do it virtually, but I make sure that they at least get some videos and talks and all that good stuff to make sure that they are seeing people that look like them and are from their own part of the world.
No, let me understand correctly. You said that, so this will move to the next question, which would be more, what are your challenges? And you're saying that would be question 5, which is what are your challenges? What challenges have you had in implementing culturally responsive practice in your classroom? That's exactly what you're saying right now. You're saying you do not like the idea of having Black History Month, correct?
Incorrect. I
Okay,
don't like having just 1 month to
there you
celebrate
go.
African American
You
history.
want it to be ongoing throughout the year. You don't want it to be just 1 month. We deal with it. We talk about a few great people and then we forget all about it. You want to incorporate this every day, which is a challenge because a lot of time the way our curriculum is written, it is written for 1 month. So you have to be very creative on how you combine it, if you will, if you how you blend it into your everyday classroom, which is, and I also do that, and I like the idea. For me, it's because not only because I don't mind that it's 1 month because I already know I have the other 9 months covered. So it's okay if they want to officially say it's 1 month, that's great, but I know they're going to hear about all the great ones throughout the year because for me, the reason why I do this and I incorporate the African American writers, the Indian writer, I looked at my audience. If I have children from different part of the world, I try to get at least 1 or 2 reading from that area, just so they can be like, this is from my country. Also, it's a way to motivate students to become writers too, because they see someone who look like them and wait a minute, I can do this because she did it or he did it. But if they never see anyone who looks like them, who's done anything great, they're not, and society is constantly telling them, you can't do that. You're not qualified to do that. Now they see someone who looks like them and they're like, this is good. Okay.
Mhm.
Challenges, as we said before, in terms of dealing with your colleagues. That's a big thing because a lot of colleagues may feel like we did February, it's Black History Month, I'm done with it, I checked the box, I'm done, moving on. Parents responds differently to different people when you have a meeting, parent teacher conference. When they come in, they're surprised to see certain teachers there because they're not accustomed to seeing that diversity represented in teaching. Okay. And they're happy. They're happy to see, oh, wow, there's someone that my child can relate to simply because of the way they look like you. Or, oh, I didn't know. I have kids tell me, well, I didn't know I could become a teacher. They tell me I don't want to because it doesn't pay well. I said, oh, okay, but at least you know it exists. They see us. It's good for them to see diversity in teaching as well. In terms of your colleagues, the district, all districts should make an effort to hire people who look like you, who look like me, who looks like everyone else that we represent where we work. You work in a district where 90% of them are Latino, there's no Latino teachers, not one. And if they do, it's a cafeteria worker. Wow. The one person they see is the one serving them the food. In their mind, that is all they're entitled to do. That is all they can do. But when they come in, they see a vice principal, maybe. They see a coach. They see a teacher. That's different. That is different right there. So
So,
that is part of my challenges is that, and I advocated for this. And a lot of time I'm met with resistance. They tell me, yeah, but they come in somehow with the budget, it doesn't happen. Yeah. And you realize, okay, you've been yeah with me for 4 years, you're not gonna do this. Okay. And they're like, well, the kids don't need, and you'll have people tell you this is part of the challenge. They don't need to have someone who looks like them in order to be successful. That is not quite what I'm saying. What I'm saying is it's a good
mhm,
reinforcement for them to look at someone. They go,
mhm.
Miss Morningstar, she has certain needs. Okay, if she can do it, so can I, because we have the same needs. You know what I mean, Michelle?
So
Same with me.
representation matters.
What is it?
Representation matters.
Absolutely. That is one of my biggest challenges that we don't have representation. We don't have people who look like the diversity we're teaching. The audience does not fit the speakers. That's what I'm saying. The people that are coming in to do the lessons and whatnot. And even for us, Michelle, when we get training, people come in from out of the district. They don't even know our district. They just come in to check all the box. With a lot of professional development we do, that's all it's about. They're not from the district. They do not walk where we walk. They don't know these kids. They're like, oh, if you do this, but you don't even know my audience, but yet you want to tell me, dictate to me what I'm to do because all you want me to do is to check off and say, I did that professional development. You did your part, giving it to me. I did my part, accepting it. And then they ask you this question at the end. Are you going to implement this in your classroom? Yes, but I have to tailor it to my classroom.
But the other thing is and with the push under the current administration to remove CRT from the curriculum and remove all of the other things, it's even harder, right? And I'm looking at your answer there and it says about power dynamics. That's a huge piece of it. It's a huge piece of it. Power dynamics, parent student power struggles, culturally sensitive topics, the belief of not understanding what culturally responsive teaching really is,
Yes.
lumping it together with all of the other things that don't really matter. Just a box check for a PD. We call it the PD du jour in my classroom that we've been talking about for this class for the last couple months that I've been involved in the program here at Point Park. It's been that type of discussion is that, well, what is CRT or what is the newest implementation, newfangled wording that we can use that matches up with what we really don't understand. And I think you hit the point when you said that it's really just about understanding our kids, understanding that they're not just numbers, that they're not just they're living, breathing humans.
Yes,
And
they are.
the the PD is just checking a box until you get teachers like you and some of our other wonderful colleagues that actually say, no more, I'm not dealing with this. This is not what I signed up for. No, stop. See our kids, see our colleagues. Seeing each other as humans is so important.
Yes, it is.
The lack of humanity that is in education is astounding.
It's in our society, Michelle. It's
Thank
in
you for
every
what you
field.
shared.
Huh?
Thank you for what you shared. And it is our society. And it's the movers and the shakers that are going to make the difference. It's going to be the ones who are going to say, this is not just something that I learned in 3 hours of time. I'm really going to put this into practice in my classroom. And I've seen it. I've seen people do it. The district is moving towards those circles, which are, yes, they feel funny when you first do it for the first time. But once you actually start getting into the kids' heads, oh my God, it opens worlds you didn't even know existed.
Exactly. And you have also students that feel more included into what's happening. They feel, again, representation is big for them. Wow, I'm being spoke to, not at. They understand me. And the kid will tell you too when you add, like I said, I always like to ask my student, how am I doing? I may not always like the answer, but I still ask. I may not
Well,
always like, I may not always like because they're not always gonna say, and kids are very honest. If you ask them, they say, you really want to know what I think?
kids are honest. They really are.
They
If
don't
we
have the
give them a
filters yet.
chance, if we give them a
They don't have the
chance.
filters yet to play politics, to be nice, deny with, don't say that. You can't say, they will say blah, 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 blah. I
Mhm.
like this, and I did not like this, and this because it doesn't offer
That
a thing
drives
at all.
us, for sake of time, that drives us right to number 7. How
We've touched
do
on
you
everything.
contribute?
Well, for
How do
me,
you contribute to a cultural
make them feel
school
safe.
culture?
Make them feel that when they walk in, this is a place, a space that they're welcome, okay? And they can speak, they can talk, be honest without being offensive. We have to keep the language clean, and that you value what they think. And it's that simple.
That's hard. That's hard. Some of us can't even keep the language clean.
I know, I know. So what about you, Michelle? What about you? What do you do that is culturally you contributing to inclusive school culture? What are you doing in your classroom?
I contribute to a school culture. There, I did that races for you. I contribute to school culture by ensuring my kids feel safe. I'm the teacher they want to come to my room, just like you. I'm the teacher that they text, email, call, say, Miss, help me. No one else will.
Mm-hmm.
I'm the guy or I'm the girl who provides the snacks they like for testing. I went through 2 boxes of Slim Jims because they just loved them.
There
I
you
found out
go.
they liked them. I bought more. That's what they
Right.
wanted. It was
Correct,
something
correct. You
so
wanna
small.
exactly. It's a small token, but Mrs. Morningstar, I missed the very first part of what you said. You said we're moving into 7, and then what happened after that? I lost you.
I said, I show up.
Oh, is that what you said?
I love my kids.
Right. And they know this.
And they
They
know
know.
that I am the teacher they come to. They email me, they call me, they text me. They want me to help them even when no one else will. I'm
Absolutely.
I want to
Absolutely.
be that teacher. Not last year, yes, last year as well. I had a student who no one else wanted to deal with, who I was able to get through to her because I saw her. She was
There
one
you
of
go.
those kids who just, she was on the edges. Nobody noticed her. Nobody
Mm-hmm.
knew there was a problem until there was. And
Mm-hmm.
she's the ones that comes back and she's the one that they say, hey, this kid gets it. No, she got it because we pushed her to get it. We
Mm-hmm.
took the time to realize that she was watching her 5 siblings every single day.
Yes.
She didn't have the resources to be able to get through it.
Exactly.
We were the ones, our group was the ones that realized there was something bigger going on than just a kid that didn't care.
There you go. And also for me, I can continue that statement is are you finished? Yeah. You done?
Yes,
Okay. For
yes.
me, it comes to with language. Huh? What'd you say, Michelle?
I said yes.
Okay. For me, a lot of time it's language. That child who sits in the corner and looks unfriendly, who looks like they don't care, they simply do not comprehend the English language yet. Being able to reach to them with even if it's a couple of simple words in their language, it opens up. You should see the look in their face when someone they're like, oh my God, there's another human being in this planet here who speaks a language that I do. And they will open up. And like you said, they will hold on to you. They come to people like, well, but you're not teaching math. They come to me to ask questioning math because I can simply translate the equation. I can say what they mean is dividing, you know, do this. Oh, okay, okay. They get it. Okay. And, sometimes the colleagues will say, I don't understand. He doesn't like me, but he goes to you. I'm not you. We need to stop that comparison, that competition. We're here for the kids.
Mhm.
However they get it. If the gym teacher can teach them math, let it be. If they're comfortable with going to their coach who understand them, let
Mhm.
it be. Why do you need to ask the child, how
Mhm.
come you like Miss Morningstar and not so and so? It's not, it's irrelevant. It's irrelevant. And that's part of the challenges too, although we left that question. That's part of the challenge too. We think that, not all of us, some people feel like, well, I'm teaching math and only I should be teaching math. No, it's collaborative effort. We all in this together. If the teacher teaching mechanics is the one who can teach him about us biology, why not? If he can deliver the lesson, let him deliver it. It shouldn't be. I mean, of course, because everybody has to teach within your license, but still, if you can collaboratively work with the mechanic teacher to get your student to understand what you're teaching them in economics, what you're teaching them in graphic art, let it be. Work collaboratively together so that child can do the 4 years and graduate successfully.
So what you just said about teachers are in their own silos or in our own boxes, that's really even worse for online education. But what's really
Yes.
cool about us is that in our group, in our program, we are not territorial. You know, historically, teachers are extremely territorial. It always has been.
Yes.
My kids, my room, my stuff, my classroom. It's not like that. It's in cyber because we all teach something else. For instance, I have a bunch of electives. My roommate has a bunch of electives. Neither one of us has ever taught these electives before. So we have to collaborate with each other. We have to be willing to go that extra step. We have to make it all make sense. And it's very interesting. Think about that. And I'll be honest with you, I'm territorial. Those are my students. Those are my kids. Those are not my problem, not my, I would never say that, but those are not mine. I don't teach math. I don't teach science. I don't teach social studies. At the end of the day, they're all of our students. They all belong to our district, and we are all their teachers, regardless
It,
of what subject level we teach. It does not matter.
um,
So I was really upset and just momentarily, and then I understood why, when a couple of my not quite seniors were moved into the senior class. They're still in 11th grade English, but they're taking senior level classes. So they left my homeroom to go on to the next level. And I thought it was personal. I'll be quite honest with you. I was like, what? They don't like me anymore? Why were they moved up? No, it's the natural order of things. They move up to the next level because they're now considered to be seniors. So an 11th grade English teacher homeroom would not be an appropriate placement for them. They're kind of riding that bridge. Of course, I would have loved to have kept them because they're some of my favorites, but they should all be my favorites. And so when I thought about it, and well, did I do something wrong? Did these kids not like me? Is that why they moved up to the next homeroom? If I would have done a little bit more investigation, I would have realized that they were moving on to the next level. It was the natural progression to move on to the next teacher. I shouldn't have been upset about it because they're not my students. They're all of our students. So we all get in that territorial mode and then we forget about the fact that we're all in this to get them together and get them out of here and get them graduated. And that goes with what you were saying about contributing to inclusive culture. We've had this discussion before, and I remember having this conversation with you multiple times over the last couple of years, is that special ed is in its own silo box by itself, and special ed teachers teach special ed. No, that's not the way it's supposed to be. Regular ed teachers are teaching special education students. You guys are
exactly.
providing the accommodations for us to be able to do so. Not the
Exactly.
fact that, oh, it's your responsibility to teach your own kids. No, it's all of our responsibilities to teach our kids.
And with that being said, this is where collaborative co-teaching comes in. When you walk into that classroom, virtually or physically, you have to let the teacher know. When you come in, it's not, oh, the special ed teacher is here. Let's give her. No, I will tell them no. He's going to sit and listen to your lesson. My job here is to listen to the lesson along with them and provide modification as needed. He may need me to restate what you said in a way that he can comprehend. He may need me to remind him, you may want to take notes right now while nobody else is doing that. It is not a competition. I am not here to spy on you. I am not here to report on you, and you shouldn't be doing that about me. And I'm not here to take over your classroom because, my dear girl, dear fella, I have a classroom already. I am not here to take over your class. You have 40 students, I have 120 IEPs to do. So definitely, I'm not here to take your children. Now, you're cognizant of what you just said. I think teachers can be territorial, but a lot of them are fearful that the kids are going to like you more. which is really, I guess, it's a human nature. Oh, they're gonna like Dr. Darby's more than like Miss Jones. Yes and no. It simply can mean I'm relating to them on a different level. They are getting that one-on-one because typically when I do an in virtual a breakout room, I'm definitely going to have less kids than Miss J or Miss Pamela here because she's got to teach 30 kids. I'm pulling 10 kids who need modification. And then I go back. I can also offer this modification come in handy for the regular ed kids too. If I say, let me teach this lesson, I heard what you said, now let me present it to them a different way. Even a regular ed kid might be like,
Mhm.
ah, there is one word in there that I use, he got it. Because I'm going to be providing modification. I'm detail oriented to begin with. So I'm going to go all the way. So I'm going to capture the regular ed, the special ed, and everything in between. And
Mhm.
even sometimes the educator, if they're open and honest about who they are, if they're cognizant of who they are, they might say, oh, Dr. Doubles, I never thought of that. I'm glad you did. And also, too, some of our teachers are special need themselves. So the way I just restated, it's like, oh, that's a good one. I can use it in my next lesson.
Mhm.
You don't know how many lessons I've done and
Absolutely.
teachers have said to me, they're dyslexic, they're hearing impaired, they have speech impediment. And the way I stated it benefited them as well. So now when they write their
Mhm.
lesson, oh, let me include that in there because Dr. Darbus, not everybody can come to you and say this because people want to show
Absolutely.
that territorial thing. That's why I don't like to get into territory with teachers because if you're territorial, you're going to be standoffish and you're not going to listen to what I have to bring to the table. And it's my classroom. These are my students. Okay.
I really don't like the fact, and we've talked about this before. I don't like the fact that we can be put in any room at any time. But I do like the fact that this is just something so simple. When I got a message for summer school, it said about the computers that we were given over the summer were assigned to the room, not the teacher, which means that we have we can walk in anybody's room at any time and see their lesson plans and put them together and teach the lesson, regardless of what our subject level was, because the computers are tied to the rooms, not the
Not the
not the
teachers.
person. It was
But
very
this is the,
interesting, but it also took that whole idea of that we're all in this together, we're all collaborating, and we're all here for the same purpose. Not
well,
because it's my computer, your computer, her computer, whoever's computer. It's everybody's.
you cut out on the very first part of what you said. What was your first
No,
thing
that's
you said?
okay. I said that it's very interesting when I walked into summer school for the first time last year and I saw the message from the for the teachers that said your computer is tied to the room, not individual teachers. I was like, whoa. So what that really means, and it's very cool from the global perspective, is that they're tied to the room. I can walk into Miss Smith's room and teach a lesson on her computer. She can come into my room and teach a lesson on my computer. It doesn't mean that my stuff's not on it. It just means that it's universal enough that that territory gets broken. So we're
Well,
all in this together.
and I'm glad that it was a district. If that email went out, it's because they saw a need for it, which is good. So basically, it is saying it is definitely breaking down the barriers I was referring to, where teachers feel like this is my classroom. Because I've co-taught and I've walked into a particular person's classroom. To this day, I know who they are. And she made it clear to announce to the class that she is the teacher in the classroom. And she didn't, this is my classroom and I'm the teacher here. And I let her have the moment. Then I introduced myself. I said, she is the teacher of this classroom. And now, along with me being the other teacher in the classroom, her face dropped. She did not like that. Um, I
Fun.
remember we were doing a lesson. I went to project on her computer. She was like, no, 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 no. I need my space and I need two desks. And I said, no problem. I pulled, because I wasn't going to let you stop me from teaching. So I pulled another desk around and I sat in another part of the room facing the front so I could see everybody. And what happened is the students were coming to me. And she was like, well,
All
and
right.
I said, they were coming to me. What is it, Michelle?
I said, all right, yes.
And the kids were like, I'm going to work. I said, okay. I said, stop right there. You do not need permission to come up to me. You need help, you come up. You don't need anybody's permission. She's not my boss, and I am not her boss. We're working here collaboratively. She was not happy. She looked down. I'm pretty sure she requested I not be placed in her room the following year. No issue. And the kids, I didn't want the kids to pick up that we were going back and forth. So I came in, I have my place. They were coming to me, what do you need help with? And I walked around after I was done with my small group. I asked everybody, what do you need? What do you need? And and I asked her, I said, what is it that they're working on? Well, it's listed on their computer. I actually projected. I said, this is what everybody's working on. Because I didn't want that separation because she felt intimidated. She was the comment of, I'm the teacher of this room. You don't have to state that. We are the teachers of this room. And that's what I told them. We are the teachers of this room.
Collectively, we. For timing, Doc, I got to move you on to
Yes, we went past our 10
the
minutes, but that's
advice
okay.
part. The advice part, but I do agree with you when you said about that we need equitable funding.
We do.
That's a big one.
All right.
Increasing
Which the
funding, equity, and implementing inexperienced staff training. Yes, one of the things that the lady who wrote the book, Geneva Gray, that we're currently working on, was we don't know what we don't know. You can't teach what we don't know. If we don't know it, we can't teach it. And there's so much not programming for teaching how to use cultural diversive experiences and how to use learned experiences and methods and techniques that work, storytelling, oral storytelling, using and I know we did the training last year on the problem with a single story. That was a big piece of it too, was all of our people were like, why are we doing this? We're doing this because we are locked into this idea that people are who they are and there's no way of changing it. No, that's not true. There's methods and things that have worked for years and centuries, even storytelling is a big one, that have been able to take that process and put it into this idea that we can teach all students. We just have to find a way to do it.
We have to be willing. We have to be willing to be flexible, to be bendable, to be pliable, and then we can begin. If you're locked into your own mindset, this is the way I've done it for 20 years, and there lies the problem. I say to teachers that I've been teaching for 30 years. You have the same lesson plan for 30 years. You've had 30 different generations of children in front of you. You've got to make a change because what worked in 1970 when you started teaching does not work in the 80s and it does not work in the 90s. And now fast forward, look, everything now, kids have access to computer. Do you remember when we went to school? It was paper, pencil, and books. Now it's a laptop. We didn't have laptops. Okay?
Nope. And
so you got to be flexible.
So much access to so much stuff that we didn't have before. And absolutely.
Yes, it's very different.
But also, with that being said, there's a lot more instruction that needs to happen too, especially with teaching teachers how to teach.
Exactly.
I went to school in 2005, and then I graduated again in 2011. It's 2026. Things are nothing like they were in 2011 when I graduated with my certificate. And when I was taught how to teach, those methods don't work anymore.
Well, yes. So that's why you have to be flexible and go with the time. With that being said, we can move into question 9, which is advice for teachers.
Go for it. I want to hear your advice.
Okay. Well, for me, it's simple because I don't like to give advice to people because a lot of times they feel that you're coming down on them. So my recommendation is this. Remember that student learn best when they know you care. So prioritize rapport. Approach each day with curiosity, greet student at the door, and understand their individual story. That is it. That's all I have to say. I think I covered all the bases because I don't want to preach. I'm not a preacher. I don't want to talk to people who feel like, oh, you think you know it all because you have a doctorate, which people do think they come up with that attitude of, it's another doctor. What do they know? You don't know me. You don't know my story. I don't know yours. So that's it for me. That's the only advice I have for teacher. If you're welcoming, and that's with anything you do in life. If you welcome people, it doesn't mean it's going to work. This is not 100% it's going to work because I said so. No, people are people, different personality, and all of us have challenges each day that we bring with us. You and I could have been driving on 30 as we do every morning. That can change our entire morning. Just the drive itself. We are going to present our lesson differently that day. If you're walking in, oh my God, you just escaped an accident. Your blood is flowing. You're eager to get in there and get that lesson going. It's not the same as if you walk in at 7:30, you have a few minutes to sit down, pull up your lesson plan for the day, and you are going to deliver it. But take into consideration the same way your day started off with stress, same with the student in front of you. You don't know what happened to them on their way to school. They could have witnessed an accident. They could have been involved in an accident. Anything can happen. So they coming in today, they don't want to hear your lesson. Okay?
So
that's my poor piece. Huh?
I'm gonna add something to that real quick. It just reminded me of a story. It's called "Cause I Ain't Got a Pencil." Take a look at it sometime. It's a great story. It talks about taking it from the kid's perspective of he walks into the classroom and he says to the teacher, "Miss, can I borrow a pencil?" And the teacher says, "No, you should have brought that from home." And then he tells you the litany of what happened to him during that day. For instance, I had to make sure that my siblings were up for ready to school because mom got home late last night. Dad's not home. We don't have any food. We don't have any hot water. We don't have any ability to make anything to eat. I had to make sure that my little sister got her bottle. I had to make sure that my little brother had shoes. I know they don't fit because mom don't have no money.
But
Like this whole litany, and at the end it says, and you're telling me that I have to have a pencil? Yeah, it just puts it in perspective of what you just said, is you have no idea what someone else has gone through before they get to that classroom. Sometimes they're great, sometimes they're not. And sometimes the motivation is not there, and sometimes it is. Kids are just like adults when it comes to that kind of thing, but we expect them to be on 24/7. We expect them to be ready to learn. Maybe they got 2 hours of sleep last night because they had to go to the shelter because their house is too cold to be in. We live in Pennsylvania. That can happen. Maybe they had to go to their grandma's house in the middle of the night because mom or dad ended up working a double shift and they didn't get home until 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning. Maybe mom and dad have substance abuse issues. Maybe they have issues with the neighbor's dog won't stop barking. Or as my beloved student told me last year, yeah, they were shooting up my house last night. There's no way in the world I could ever understand that. But I got to be empathetic to them when they walk in that classroom because who knows what they went through last year
and now
through the last night.
exactly. And now we're dealing with something new. I got a phone call from a couple of my kids. We will not make it today because certain agent were in our neighborhood picking up people. They don't want the chance because they're using kids as bait. So people are not letting their kids out the door anymore as easily because they know you can apprehend my kid until and have my child come to you.
Yep.
Come to I mean, bring my child to my home and take me out. So we're living in different. She called me. She was like, Dr. Abuse, I cannot attend today. Are you sick? She says, no. Blah, 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 blah is happening in my neighborhood. You know what I mean, Michelle? And I don't want to use this as a political stand, so I will not.
No. We're gonna avoid that. But I will tell you with that, what you just said is that our numbers in cyber are going to skyrocket because of that fact.
Exactly.
And because we're in Pennsylvania, we just York City. I will say this because this is for us and my professor. York City declared they will not allow those injustices to happen. So they're going to do everything they can to protect. So it really does depend on where you live in the United States at this point in time. But
Michelle, again, we're not going to use this platform for this purpose, but let's put it into perspective. Listen to this. The school district is not allowing anyone to come in and do harm. However, the children have to walk out of the house, into the streets, into the building.
Well, I actually meant the York City Police Department, but yes, you're absolutely correct.
They have to be careful walking from home to the building. So going from one safe place to the other, it's getting there in one piece. And that's the problem. And that is correct. Absolutely. Where you're going to have, you had a question? Did you have a question?
No, I said absolutely. I 100%.
So they're going to have to be, but that's a stress though. My thing is this is stressful because that child now cannot walk home without thinking about, oh my God, there's someone coming. Oh God. That's a lot on a human body. That's a lot. And then you want to come in, you're going to give him, you want a lesson, you want to teach him about the Great Depression. He's going through it now. Okay. So we need to be flexible. And I have met teachers who said they agree with what's going on. So would they really be welcoming? Think about what I'm saying. Moving on from that, because like I said, this is not the platform for this. So, but again, like I said to you to continue with my advice, be consistent and flexible. Absolutely. Understand that you're there every day. They expect to see you. My homeroom, I have kids who meet with me because we do the mentor model. So they meet with me one-on-one. They still show up at 2 o'clock for homeroom. And I said, do you need it? He says, no, just wanted to talk to you. We're that safety net. They want to hear you. They want to talk to you. Okay. Because like you said, there's a lot of things going on. And in terms of finance, a lot of people are hurting financially as well because they're not going to work either because the parents don't feel safe walking out. Kids can't go into cyber. Where do the parents go? They can't go to cyber for work. So
they stay. You just said about being that safety net, that is integral. That is absolutely integral. And I want to read your last statement on the future. I really, really like this. Continue to focus on reflexivity, self-awareness, relationship responsiveness, and relational empowerment to create inclusive environment. Utilizing technology to increase accessibility and customize learning, ensuring diverse learners feel seen and engaged. That last part, seen and engaged, is integral to make sure that our students feel safe and supported. And I think it's absolutely essential that they have a safety net and a place to go. And Doc, I know that you're one of those teachers that provides that. So
I do my best. I do my best to
you,
do it, and it comes to me naturally. This is who I am. Whatever field I'm in, whether I'm in teaching, law enforcement, wherever I choose to be, wherever life takes me, that's who I am. It's not something I have to do. I don't have to think about it. The same way some people have to be cognizant of it, I don't need to be cognizant of, oh my God, I need to do this. I just understand human. I'm dealing with another human. That's all I need to know. And that's what we need to understand. Human beings are human beings. They have needs just like you. My question's always in, how would you like your child to be treated? That's how I ask people. You treat people's children this way. How would you like your child to be treated? And people will say to you, oh, this, that, and the other. Treat people like you want to be treated. Be fair. And don't listen to what other people have to say about a person. Make your own informed decision. I don't want to hear about, oh, you know what? He said this. Great. I'm glad. Thank you for the input. Let me draw my own conclusion.
and on that note, I'm going to stop recording because we have now reached the point. All right, Doc, thank you so much for taking the opportunity to talking with me. I truly agree in a lot of your answers there. In the spirit of cultural diversity, I'm not going to put this into a paper. I'm going to put this into a little blurb to my professor to let her know, here's the questions that we talked about. Here's what we discussed. You can make your own decisions on that.
I like that. I
All
like
right.
because we covered a lot, and like I said, I with you, I made sure I kept you and myself on track. I do not want anybody to accuse us of using the time, although free speech, and we are in our own. We're not on school time that we are promoting anything. But and I also didn't want to say anybody's name, but my student approached me and said, "I'm not
Yeah,
coming in.
we want
I'm
to
not coming out."
keep it kosher. Absolutely. Keep it kosher.
What do you mean?